What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name is Greg Wave. I'm going to be giving you guys a pretty fun video today of my first month of Lyft. I'm going to show you guys my numbers, what it looked like, what I really came out with at the end of the week, but also just wanted to talk to you guys about a lot of pitfalls and things I did as a new driver and things I do now that would have drastically probably improved these numbers as well from this first week. But all in all, I was actually shocked. It wasn't really as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought my first week was going to be just like pennies, and I put in more time than I really should have, but I didn't do too bad. So I'm going to break some of this down with you guys. I'm going to throw some screenshots up there so you guys can see the actual numbers. This is going all the way back to 2016. So some things that have changed. Lyft was still doing prime time then, versus now they run their stupid crappy bonus that they have now. I don't even know what they call it. The one that supposedly they listened to all the drivers and responded with it. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely hate Lyft's new bonus system. It's garbage. Okay, but before I ramble too much, let's dive right into this, okay? So as you guys can see, here's the first week here. $328, so not the worst. The driving time was a lot. Obviously, it was 1 day, 3 hours, so 27 hours for a week. Actually not as bad, as it looks. A lot of times when they put that little 1 day there, it always makes it look so much worse to me. But you got to remember, that's in a full week. So 27 hours in a week. Also, keep in mind the booking time and the online time. The reason I say that is that as a young driver, I made a lot of dumb mistakes that made my online time was always really high because I was sitting in bad areas waiting for rides, thinking I was in good areas or whatever the reason. So I'd almost rather look at the booking time, because then it's more of what our actual working hours were. And now that I know how to be an effective driver, I would never have that much downtime. I mean, for one, I'd probably just go home if I did. But if I'm really out there and like really working and being active, I'm not gonna have downtime like that. And none of you guys should either, I will say that Lyft in general is always slower. So now I only run Uber and Lyft at the same time. I will not run just Lyft. I do know some people that do it and they do pretty well. I have a buddy that lives here in Phoenix and he does fine on Lyft. He does just Lyft and he can usually make about $20 an hour. So, to each his own. But for me, I won't even drive unless I'm running both apps. So my point in all that is saying is that online time looks really scary. I mean, you guys are like, wow, you had all those hours where you're just sitting there. That's not what a week of Lyft looks like. That's what a week of Lyft for a new driver looks like. So keep that in mind in all of this. So week one, like we said, $330. I did $65 in tips. That's actually not too bad. I'd probably be higher than that now, but I was obviously, a new driver, so I was figuring it out. But still, to hop in on my first week and make $330, not the worst. The second week, okay, so as you guys can see there, the second week, $241, about $40 in tips, so a little bit lower, but not terrible. At least I had some money in there. And here the hours look a little bit better. Now you're more at 20 hours. So obviously when you think about it, that's a good week, because you already know like a rough idea of what that hourly rate is going to be. So not the best rate, not the worst rate, but again, for my second weekend, that's not too shabby. That's still really just learning the ropes. So my third week was $398, a lot better, obviously. $400 in a week. A lot of people would like that. $51 in tips, 1 day and 11 hours of online time. Obviously, again, the actual booking time is way different. And then the fourth week, we're looking at $720. I actually really went for it that week. $80 in tips. And here's the thing you guys should already be looking at, is that I was clearly already getting a better hang of things, because I only added 5 more hours from the previous week and I had a $300 increase. So obviously, as I was doing it, I mean, I was really starting to figure things out. Like, obviously the first week to the second week, there was a drop in the dollar amount, but there was a significant drop in the hours, you know? So that's, you know, first week I was at 328 for 27 hours. The second week I was at 240 for 20 hours. So 7 less hours, and I was only down, you know, 90 bucks. So that's not too bad, you know. So, but when you really think about it, my point here for you guys to see is that from week 1 to week 4, I made just steady improvements. Like, that's how fast it really is to, like, kind of learn how you should be driving, where you should be going, areas to focus on, areas to stay away from. Like that, it's that easy to kind of learn it. So why I like this topic in this video is, for a lot of my people that are on the fence, you're considering driving, you've never done it, you think you're not social enough, whatever your reason is for thinking maybe you don't want to do it, I want you to look at this and consider it. Because think about it, this was never having ride shared in my life, not knowing where to drive. I didn't go and watch a bunch of YouTube videos like this to figure out what to do or where to go. I didn't do anything. I just was like, oh, let's check out this, this Lyft thing, and I got going on it. So in my first month, I made $1,687, $235 in tips, which for a first month driver, I think is pretty good. I'd probably do more like 300 now, but now I can usually do somewhat close to 200 bucks in tips in a week. And I did that in 122 hours in a month. So that's not as crazy as it sounds. You know, if you really think about it, there's only one of those weeks where I had a 40-hour work week, and it was the last week, the $720 week. So the last week I had a 40-hour work week. Other than that, I really was, let's see, the third week I was like just 5-6 hours away from a 40-hour work week. But the second week, nowhere close, 20 hours. Third week, 27. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? Is that, it wasn't even really that many hours. 122 sounds crazy, but again, it's for a full month. So this was the part that really fascinated me, was my hourly rate came down to $14 per hour. Now, for a newbie, someone who'd never done this before, I'd be pretty happy. Back in 2016, I was a lot younger. I had a pretty crappy job at the time, so me making $14 an hour was more than I was making at my actual job. Let's say hypothetically we threw 200 bucks of that in gas, it'd probably be more like 13 or 12 an hour. But again, still, minimum wage here is 12 bucks an hour. So if you're after gas making more than minimum wage, it's not a bad side hustle. It's not a bad thing to do on the side, especially because this averages out to part-time hours this month. Obviously, that 1 week I was full-time, but throughout the duration of the entire month, that was part-time driving hours. So an extra, $1,700 a month on part-time hours, that's pretty solid, right? And we're talking that after gas, maybe we'll say $1,500. Maybe I spent 190 bucks of that on gas, which sounds about right. So $1,500 in 122 hours, that's averaging out to about 30 hours a week. So about 30 hours a week, and I was coming away with, an extra few $100 a week. 30 hours was a lot more doable for me then, because again, I was younger, I was working a pretty crappy job. It's not like I was doing 40 hours on that job, but still, like, to be able to go out and do these types of things, whether you're in transitions for a job or you just got fired or whatever the reason is, this is always great. My preferable way is, hustle a business or start a business or do something and then use this to pay your bills. I think that's the greatest thing you can do for your life. But yeah, guys, so that's what my first month ever as a Lyft driver looks like. Obviously, I was young and dumb. If I had to really guess, like, if I put in those same hours, doing it the right way, Well, let's just do this. So I was at $14 per hour. So I usually make close to $20 an hour, maybe a little bit less. So let's just, for humor's sake, we're going to add an extra $5 an hour to this duration, okay? So let's add, so what does that look like? That's going to be an extra 500. That's going to be about an extra $600 or $700, give or take. That's very just math in my head. So that's very loose. I don't need any of you in the comments, oh, this math's off. Yeah, no shit, it probably is. But my point being is that if I did this type of hours now, knowing what I do now, knowing what I know now, having driven for about 3 years, really getting the hang of things, that's probably going to be more like anywhere from $2,100 to $2,300 for a week, maybe even a little bit more. I'm not totally sure, like I said, because of the math, but somewhere in that range. So keep that in mind, for some of you guys that are, thinking about doing this, that you're not, if you start out at rates like that, $13 to $15 an hour, it's okay. You'll increase that number. You'll get better. You'll start earning more tips, and you'll be more at that, $2,100, $2,200 a month type thing for those kind of part-time hours, So something to really keep in mind, guys. This is not a bad gig, and this stuff can really help you out. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go kill it out there. I hope for those of you that were on the fence about Uber or Lyft that this maybe provided some clarity for you. Until next time, guys, see you later.